What if the reason you're not wealthy yet has nothing to do with opportunity and everything to do with how you think about failure? In the next 7 minutes, I'm going to show you the one truth that separates people who build real wealth from people who stay stuck forever. It's not about working harder. It's not about getting lucky. It's about understanding something that billionaires know and most people never learn. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's what most people do. They wait for the perfect opportunity. They research, they plan, they calculate, and then when it's finally time to move, they freeze. Because what if it doesn't work? What if they lose money? What if people see them fail? So they play it safe. They take the job that pays okay but doesn't excite them. They stay in the relationship that's comfortable but not alive. They invest in things that won't lose money but won't change their life either. And here's the part that hurts. They think they're being smart. They think they're being responsible. But what they're actually doing is optimizing for survival, not growth. They're playing not to lose. And you can't build wealth that way. You can't build anything meaningful that way. Because here's the truth. Every single time you choose safety over responsibility, you're not protecting yourself. You're just making the cage smaller. Now, let me tell you what wealthy people know. Jeff Bezos, one of the wealthiest people on the planet, wrote in one of his early shareholder letters that Amazon's entire strategy was built on a simple idea: make bold bets, knowing that 9 out of 10 would fail. 9 out of 10. He didn't avoid failure, he expected it. He designed around it because he understood something most people never learn. The goal isn't to win every time. The goal is to survive long enough to hit one massive win and to recognize it when it arrives. Wealthy people don't have better luck. They don't have secret information. What they have is a different relationship with failure. They see it as data, not defeat. They see it as tuition, not punishment. And because they're not afraid of being wrong, they can take the kind of bets that actually change everything. You've been taught that failure is the opposite of success, but that's the lie that keeps you small. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the price of admission. And if you're not willing to pay it, you'll never get in the room. So what does this actually look like? It means you stop trying to avoid failure and start building systems that let you survive it. It means you don't bet everything on one idea. You build a life where you can place multiple bets, knowing most will fail, but one might explode. Peter Thiel teaches his investors that in a portfolio of 100 investments, one winner will generate more value than all 99 others combined. The entire game is about staying in long enough to find that one. And you can't do that if the first loss takes you out. This is about asymmetry. Small losses, massive upside. You risk what you could afford to lose, but you risk it on things that could change everything. And here's what that means emotionally. You stop carrying the weight of needing to be right. You stop needing every decision to be perfect. You start seeing yourself as someone who is resilient enough to fail forward. Someone who doesn't break when things don't work. Someone who learns, adjusts, and swings again. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be built to last. So here's what you do starting tonight. First, identify one thing you've been avoiding because you're afraid it might not work. Write it down. Not someday, tonight. Name the fear. Look at it. And then ask yourself, what's the worst that can actually happen if this fails? Not the catastrophic story you've been telling yourself, the actual, real-world consequence. Most of the time, it's survivable. And once you see that, the fear loses its grip. Second, build a failure budget. Decide right now how much time, money, or energy you're willing to lose in the next 90 days in exchange for trying something that could actually move you forward. Maybe it's $500. Maybe it's 10 hours a week. Maybe it's your pride. But name it, write it down, and give yourself permission to lose that amount without quitting. Third, start thinking in bets, not guarantees. You're not looking for the one perfect move. You're looking for 5 to 10 small bets you can place over the next year where the downside is capped, but the upside is massive. Maybe it's a side project. Maybe it's a conversation you've been putting off. Maybe it's learning a skill that could 10 times your value. Place the bet. Don't wait for certainty. Fourth, reframe how you talk to yourself after something doesn't work. Stop saying, I failed. Start saying, that didn't work. What did I learn? Failure isn't your identity, it's feedback. And feedback is the most valuable currency in the world if you're brave enough to use it. You're not someone trying to avoid failure. You are someone resilient enough to survive failure and win anyway. That's the identity shift. That's the game. The wealthiest people on the planet didn't get there because they were right all the time. They got there because they were wrong more than you've ever tried, and they stayed in the game anyway. You don't need perfect judgment. You don't need a flawless plan. You just need the courage to swing and the resilience to swing again. You were built for this, not someday, right now. If this landed, subscribe. There's more coming, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because the people who change the world aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail and keep going anyway. You're one of them. Start acting like it.